Okay, y'all, we got tents on the table. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take you guys out into the field and I'm gonna show you these three tents set up and we're gonna talk about them a little bit. What I have here is the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2. I have a LightHeart Gear SoLong 6 and the Zpacks Duplex. One thing of note, it was about to start pouring down rain, so I was in a real hurry to get this shot. None of these tents are pitched really nicely, especially the Big Agnes tent. I only kind of half pitched it just to have it there to represent. And then I got one take in and it started to pour down rain and I had to hurry up and get these things packed up and get back to the car. So, this video is what it is. After the little presentation here, we're going to come back here and I'm going to cover just a couple things that I did not cover out in the field. And then I'm going to give you some thoughts on which one of these tents is probably going to start with me on the Appalachian Trail. So I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, well, welcome to the fifth and final installment of the gear series this year. This is the tents, and these are the three tents that I have to choose from this year. These are the three that I could probably get by using any one of them. I'm just fortunate enough to have them all. So starting from the left, we have the Big Agnes Tiger Wall 2. In the middle, we have the LightHeart Gear SoLong 6. And on the far right, the Zpacks Duplex. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to talk about a couple things about each one and talk about maybe what the decision is going to finally be in the end. Okay, guys, if you were with me in 2018, you remember this tent. This is the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2. Sorry about the pitch. It's not really a great pitch, but just kind of threw it up here. It's 2 pounds 8 ounces, double wall. It is probably of the three the most versatile in that I can set it up freestanding in a pinch. Now, I will show you this. These corners down here do have to be staked out, but it does freestand to a degree, enough where in an emergency you can get enough tent above you to call it a tent without staking the tent out. Now, you get way more room in the tent. Everything works better when it's staked out, but it has that capability. Also, it has the capability to take the fly off and only use the tent body. So if the weather is going to be really good and it's warm and you want to stargaze a little bit, you can just leave the fly off, and that's pretty nice. It's a feature that neither of the other tents can even come close to. You can roll the doors back on them, but having the entire sky visible above your head, there's just something about that. It's just kind of magical. But anyways, that's the first choice that I have. The thing about the double wall tent, you guys all know, and when it's cold and damp, any tent is going to condensate. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a single wall tent, double wall tent, they all do it. The difference between a single wall and a double wall is that the condensation on a double wall tent, pull this back here. The condensation on that double wall tent is going to be up here where my hand is. It's going to collect on that. And I didn't completely assemble this tent, sorry, but you basically have this mesh inner that keeps the condensation off of you. The fly condensates, the mesh pretty well stops that condensation from coming down onto you, and the interior of the tent does stay dry. It stays quite dry no matter really how bad the condensation is. So anyway, that's the first option that I have. Okay guys, this is the option number 2. This is the LightHeart Gear SoLong 6. And I've had a SoLong 6 for a long time. Like, I think I bought it in 2012 or 2013. I bought it just after I got back from the John Muir Trail because a guy I met out there was using one, and I just fell in love with it, basically. It is just one of the best design tents I have ever come across. And this is actually a newer model. This is actually a brand new model. And the differences in this and the original SoLong are that she extended the length of the strut here, for one thing, which I think I have that too tight. She extended that 2 inches, so it's given the entire tent a lot more volume down at the foot end and the head end just by raising this 2 inches. Also, the fabric of this tent is not nylon, it is polyester. And polyester will not absorb water. Therefore, this tent should not sag when it gets wet, which is one of the real benefits of a Cuban tent is that they don't absorb water, so you're not packing out a bunch of water if your tent was wet. You just shake it off, it's dry, and you're done. Plus, the non-sagging aspect of it means that you don't have to get out in the middle of the night, come out and re-tension the fly. Once you've got it tensioned the way you want it, you're pretty well done with it. The thing I like most about this tent, though, is just how much room it has. This thing is humongous. It is the only tent that I own that I can put my sleeping pad in, my big old sleeping bag, and neither my head nor my foot even come close to touching. And the Tiger Wall and in the Duplex, I can arrange myself to a degree that I'm not touching either end of the tent. But if you move in the middle of the night, you're just going to be touching I'm talking about like half an inch off the inside of the tent. So yeah, you might as well consider that touching, because you're going to wind up touching, and you're going to run into maybe a wet, the foot box of your sleeping bag getting a little wet. That's just the way it is. But this tent here, like I said, it is just humongous. It's the most livable tent I own. And I spent 9 days in Wyoming in this tent. And it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had, as far as, just really not been able to fault the tent in any way. This thing stood up to really strong wind. We camped well above the timberline. I mean, just about every night. And got strong winds, storms, you name it. This tent just held up beautifully. So I have no problems really taking this tent anywhere. One other feature I did want to show you too are these vents. It has one on either side. So you have venting, not to mention you have this porch. You guys see that little pole there? That entire area you can leave up in this configuration and just get massive venting in there, which is definitely going to help when it comes to condensation. Between this, the only way I would bring this down all the way and make it look like this side is if it was just a massive storm. Hard wind, driving rain, that kind of thing. I think just rain falling, snow falling, you can pretty well leave it like this, get a ton of ventilation between there and through the venting on both sides, and probably keep this tent fairly dry. You're still going to get condensation. It's a single wall shelter. You're going to get condensation, but in my opinion, it's going to stay drier than something that does not vent as well, which is the third option. This is the duplex. This is the tent that I kind of dreamed about until I got one, and then found out a couple of things that I just wasn't ready for. Like I say, guys, and like I said before, I am not an expert with ultralight gear, and I'm especially not an expert with single wall shelters. And I ran into a little trouble in 2018 with this tent. Got a lot of condensation, got a lot of good feedback. Everybody basically saying you got to ventilate that tent. Well, you're right. You got to ventilate the tent. No two ways around it. The way I have it set now, if I take this tent, this is probably the way I'll try to set it up most nights. Get the pole really high, get the thing really lifted off the ground, and that way I'll get the maximum airflow possible under the tent. Also, one thing that I learned is that I can attach the door here, okay? Unattach here, roll it back to say here, put a plastic clothespin on it, and actually get more ventilation that way. So I'm pretty sure I have a better idea of how to ventilate this tent now. I think that I can make it work for myself. And so this is definitely an option because of the weight. Man, the weight of this tent is 22 ounces on my scale, and it is a solid 10 ounces lighter than the next lightest tent, which is this one. Okay, guys, well, like I say, I only had time to do the one take, and I think I covered most of the information. A couple of things that I did want to cover, though, as far as, first of all, the Zpacks tent here. This is the duplex. One thing that I didn't cover out there, and was maybe some of the reasoning why I had the trouble that I had in 2018 with that tent. I told you guys that I was not ventilating the tent very well. Well, that went back to the sleep system that I had. I tried to keep the tent, as shut down as possible because it was cold and I didn't want a breeze blowing through it. And so one thing led to another. That was just, bad decision making on my part from the get-go. And so it wasn't really the tent's fault. It was the way that I used it. I'll just leave it at that. So, but I do think I have some ideas to make that tent ventilate better for me. And I am going to have a much warmer sleep system this time. And that's why the tent is still, a very big possibility. Nothing beats weight. The weight of that tent just blows the other two away. And so it's a strong contender. The LightHeart Gear tent, I think we covered that one pretty well. One thing I didn't show you was how the other side zips up and makes that an entire covered porch area. It's just really cool. This tent, design-wise, is as good as it gets. I can't find anything out there that I like better. And one thing of note about it, of all the tents, that is by far the easiest tent to pitch. It goes up in almost no time. I mean, you can get it set up really in a couple of minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes tops. You can have that thing up and running, and it's a completely dry setup. No water gets in on the interior while you're setting it up if it's pouring down rain. That's a big feature of that tent, and that's why I have it. As far as the big Agnes tent goes, I apologize for not having that thing set up better. There really wasn't a lot to discuss about it. I mean, you guys know what that tent's all about. It's a great tent. For 2.5 pounds, it's unbelievable, the versatility of that tent. So those are the 3 contenders. As far as which tent I'm taking, I am more than likely at this point going to start out with the LightHeart Gear tent, the SoLong 6. I went ahead and repurchased that tent. I told you out in the field that I had bought one back in 2013. I went ahead and bought this new one just because I like the upgrade so much. The fabric, the polyester fabric, and the taller sidewalls, you know, giving it so much more volume. It already had a ton of room. Now it's like, you know, a palace in there. So that is more than likely the tent that I will start with, just mainly because of how easy it sets up. I am lazy, and when I'm tired and get to camp, you know, the easiest tent possible to set up is the tent that I want. And that tent sets up super easy. I am going to include a setup video, link in the description from LightHeart Gear, just so you can see a few more of the features. But more than likely, that's the tent that will start with me. I can't make any promises though, guys. I mean, at the last minute, I could easily decide to take that duplex tent. It is calling my name. That weight is calling my name. I love that tent. So no promises, but right now I'm thinking the LightHeart Gear is going to be the winner. Okay, guys. Well, that's a wrap up for the Gear Series 2020. I really appreciate you guys watching. And I'm looking forward to another try at this through hike. So thanks a lot, and we will talk to you again soon.